my first bite of pancake when I saw it. A folded sheet was tucked inside the birthday envelope. No card, no scribbled "Happy Birthday, son," just black text at the top. Eviction notice. My hands froze. My fork slipped from my fingers and clinked against the plate. At first I thought it was a joke, and a weird one. But Dad doesn't do jokes, especially not at breakfast. I looked up, waiting for someone, anyone, to explain. But all I saw was my little niece running in circles, and my brother Kyle scrolling on his phone. Mom was at the stove, humming a song while Dad sipped his coffee. Then he cleared his throat slowly and calmly, like he'd practiced the words. "Alice," he began, setting his mug down. "We're so proud of you. You've done a lot for this family. We're grateful." I didn't say anything. I couldn't. But Kyle's children are getting bigger now. They need more space. The house is getting tight, so we thought it might be time for you to move out. The room didn't spin. It stood still. So still I could hear the fridge humming in the corner. Dad kept going. "You're doing well for yourself, and we know you'll land on your feet. You'll still support the family from wherever you are. That won't change. It's no big deal." No big deal, I said to myself. I looked at him, then at the woman who'd raised me, now flipping eggs like this wasn't happening. And I just sat there, holding a piece of paper that told me I didn't belong in the house I'd saved. I looked down at the notice again. No ribbon, no card, no "Happy Birthday, Alice." Just this. I let out a small breath, the kind that gets stuck halfway in your chest. "So, this is my birthday gift?" I asked quietly. No one answered. Mom flipped the eggs. Dad picked up his mug again. Only my little niece giggled in the background, her world still full of cartoons and cereal. Who gets an eviction notice on their 28th birthday? Probably me, David. My name is Alice. I am the first child, the first to wake and the last to sleep. The one everyone calls when the fridge stops working or the lights go out. There are 5 of us in this house. Well, 6 if you count Kyle's wife. If you count all 4 of their kids, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And guess who pays for most of it? Me. When Dad lost his job 5 years ago and the bank came knocking, I was the one who answered the door. I was 23. I still remember how Mom's voice cracked when she said we might lose the house. I didn't think twice. I drained my savings, picked up a second job. Some nights I came home so tired I'd sleep in the car before walking in, but I kept going. And when the mortgage was finally paid off, I didn't stop there. I gave this house a full makeover, painted the walls, ripped out the old carpet, installed that backsplash Mom once showed me on Pinterest. Then Kyle moved in. My little brother said things were hard with the twins. I gave him the spare room, and he said it was temporary. But soon there were 4 kids, and no job. Still, I didn't complain. Every grocery trip? Me. Light bills? Me. Broken faucet? Me. Mom always said I was the strong one, the stable one. I guess that made it so easy to forget, because today, the only gift I got was a folded piece of paper telling me to leave. I sat there holding the paper like it was burning my hand. "Is this a joke?" I finally asked. My voice came out flat, like I wasn't even in my own body. Mom didn't meet my eyes. "It's already been decided, Alice. No need to argue or drag things." I looked around the table. No cake, no candles. Just silence and tension. Then Esther, bless her, spoke up. "Wait, what? We're not even celebrating her birthday?" she said, her voice shaky but loud. "Alice has been paying for everything in this house for years. She fixed this place up. She saved it. And now you're kicking her out? If there's anyone that should move, it ought to be Kyle and his family because they are basically leeching." Kyle slammed his hand on the table. "Esther, don't you dare talk about my family like that again." She flinched, but didn't back down. I'd never been prouder of her. Kyle turned to me, like he was the one doing me a favor. "You can still help the family from wherever you are. Distance isn't a barrier, big sis." I didn't say a word. I just dropped the food on the table and walked into my room. Esther followed me quietly. I saw the tears building in her eyes as she placed a trembling hand on my shoulder. "Where will you go from here?" she asked softly. I took a breath and tried to stay calm. Don't worry about me, I'll make some calls. Maybe stay with a friend for a while, and if that doesn't work out, I'll just get a hotel while I look for an apartment. Can I come with you? She said through her tears. Not yet, Esther, I replied gently. Once I'm settled, I'll come get you, okay? She nodded slowly, but her voice cracked. I'm trying not to imagine how much of a hell this place will become when you leave. You know Kyle isn't working, and neither is his wife. They'll probably turn to me to start supporting the house. I placed my hands on both sides of her face and looked into her eyes. You'll be fine, and I won't let anyone hurt you, I promise. That night, I packed in silence. I silently hoped that my mum or dad would come in to tell me that it was a prank, or that they didn't mean it. But no one came in except Esther, who helped me pack and carried my things to the car. And from that night on, I stopped picking up their calls. No texts, no transfers, no birthday wishes. I decided to cut them off from my life. Since they need space, they should finance the space. Let them figure it out. For once, I wasn't going to carry a weight that no one even thanked me for. While I cut them off, I still wanted updates about how they were faring in the house. Believe me, it's not from a place of care and concern, but to be sure that my sister Esther was doing okay. Weeks went by, and I had already gotten my place. I didn't come to pick Esther as I promised because I wasn't well settled yet. Esther never ceased to give me updates from the house. Then one night, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Esther. You okay? Doing great, and you? I texted back. Then came the next. Can you believe that Kyle hasn't gotten a job yet? He's still gambling all day with the promise that his next win will change everything. His wife claims she's too pretty to work. We have all been surviving on the little pension Mom has, and the little I make from work. It's hell here. Esther wasn't complaining. She was surviving. She'd just started working. One of those jobs where you smile all day at rude customers and earn just enough to pay for bus fare and lunch. But because she was the only one with a steady paycheck, she became the new target. Kyle asked her for loans. His wife cornered her in the kitchen about helping out more. Even my mom told her to hand over part of her salary for groceries, like she wasn't already cooking, cleaning, and covering transport for the twins' school. Esther never said it out loud, but I could read between the lines. She was drowning. One night, I saw 5 missed calls from Mom. Just then, Kyle's calls came in, and he kept calling, but I refused to pick up their call. I wanted them to know that I don't want to have anything to do with them. That night, I had a total of 15 missed calls from both Mom and Kyle, but I don't care. A message finally came through. Alice, please help us. The rent, the bills. I'm begging you. I turned my phone face down. I wasn't ready. Not to be their savior again. Not to be the one who fixed everything. Not after what they did. So I stayed quiet. Let them feel what it's like to lose a roof. Let them taste the weight I carried all those years. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was cleaning out my fridge, wondering if I had the energy to cook or just order takeout, when my phone rang. Esther. She rarely called, usually just sent short updates. But this time, she didn't even say hello. She was crying, hard. Alice, he took everything, she choked out between sobs. My salary. He waited till I got back from work, said he needed it for the kids. I told him no, but he just beat me and took it. My chest tightened. Then she said the part that broke me. Mom told me to stop fighting, that it's for the good of the family, that you used to give everything, so why can't I? There it was again. That word, everything. Like it was normal to bleed dry for people who only knew how to take. I can't live like this anymore, David, she whispered. Please, I need you to come. I didn't even answer. I just stood there, holding the phone to my ear, staring at the wall like it had answers. Then I went to my desk drawer, pulled out the file I hadn't touched in years. Inside was a signed agreement, black ink on white paper. It's been barely up to 8 months at this point. I moved out of the house, and they can't even take care of themselves. Nobody will drain Esther under my watch. I muttered under my breath while making some calls, as I left the house. The house was only an hour's drive away, so I didn't bother calling ahead or knocking. Instead, I shot Esther a quick text. I'm at the door. Within seconds, the door creaked open. Esther didn't say a word. She just collapsed into me, hugging me tight, her body shaking with quiet sobs. She had been locked in her room all day, waiting for this moment. I held her for a beat, then gently pulled her inside as we stepped into the house together. The noise hit me first. The place was louder than I remembered. Kids screaming over each other, a cartoon blaring on the TV, and the sharp crackle of hot oil coming from the kitchen. Chaos lived here now, but the moment I stepped in, everything stopped. Silence. Kyle was sprawled on the couch, shirtless, scratching his stomach like he had no care in the world. My mother looked up mid-whisk, the bowl of eggs still in her hands. My father was slumped in his usual corner, eyes half closed, pretending to sleep, or maybe too tired to care. Then they saw them, two men walking in quietly behind me. Suits sharp, faces unreadable, black folders in hand. Not a word spoken, but the air had shifted. They knew something was about to change. I walked to the center of the living room and paused. Every pair of eyes was on me. Some confused, some curious, one already twitching with anger. I took a slow, steady breath, then I said it. "This house," I began, my voice firm and deliberate, "belongs to me." A thick silence fell, heavier than before. I reached into my folder and pulled out the document, the one signed years ago when everything was falling apart and they needed a lifeline. I unfolded it carefully, like it was the final card in a high-stakes game. I paid off the mortgage, every single dime. I renovated this place from a crumbling structure into a home my mother once dreamed about. I turned to my father, locking eyes with him. "And you? You signed it over to me, legally and willingly. That was our agreement for my taking care of the mortgage." A knife clattered to the floor. My mother's hands were trembling. She looked like she'd just seen a ghost. My father opened his mouth, but no words came, only a thin, dry wheeze. Kyle sprang up so fast he knocked over a stool. "What the hell are you talking about?" he shouted, storming forward. "You're lying! This is our house!" I didn't flinch. "I'm saying," I replied coldly, "you all have 14 days to pack your things and get out of my house." His face twisted. "You're throwing your own family out? On the street?" He charged toward me in a burst of rage, but before he could reach me, one of the lawyers stepped forward. Calm, measured, like he'd rehearsed this 100 times. "Miss, Alice has full legal ownership," he said, flashing the stamped copy of the deed. "Any refusal to vacate the premises within the legal time frame will be treated as criminal trespassing." Kyle froze mid-stride. Esther stood by the wall, covering her mouth. The air was thick with the sound of nothing, just the ticking wall clock and the weight of betrayal cracking open across the room. I had finally said the words no one ever thought I'd say. And now, they were real. My mother rushed over, grabbing my arm. "Alice, please, we didn't mean it like that. You're our daughter." "Now I am your daughter?" I asked quietly. "Was I your daughter when you handed me an eviction notice on my birthday?" Kyle's wife came out from the hallway just then, holding their youngest. "Oh, please," she snapped. "You act like you're the only one who suffered. Go find your real mother, the one who couldn't even keep her legs closed." The whole room froze. My heart stopped. I turned to her slowly. "What did you say?" She looked smug, like she hadn't just detonated a bomb. "You heard me." I turned to my parents. "Is that true?" They said nothing. I turned to Kyle. "Oh, you didn't know," he sneered. "We all knew, everyone, except you and Esther. You're not even our real sister. You were just useful. That's why they never told you." I couldn't breathe. For a second, I wasn't standing in the living room. I was 6 years old again, wondering why I always had to be the one fixing everything. Why love felt like a duty. Why nothing ever felt enough. Tears welled in my eyes, but I blinked them back. "You have 14 days," I said again, slower this time. My voice trembled slightly, but I didn't let it stop me. "After that, the locks are changing." My mom stepped forward, her voice already breaking. "Alice, please, just listen." Not another word. I cut her off, sharper than I meant to, but I couldn't afford softness now. Not after everything. She covered her mouth, shaking as tears slipped down her cheeks. I turned to Esther. She hadn't moved from the corner, but her eyes, red and wet, never left mine. I nodded gently in her direction. Go pack your things, I said. You're coming with me. We'll figure the rest out later. She didn't say anything, just nodded through her tears, her chest rising and falling like she'd been holding her breath for weeks. Then I faced my parents, both stunned, both silent. My dad looked small in his chair, sunken, like the truth had taken the last bit of strength from his bones. To make sure I'm not branded the evil son, I said, pulling out a folded paper from the folder. I've paid 1 month's rent at the address written here. I placed it on the table, like a final offering. It's a 1-bedroom and parlor, nothing fancy, but it's something. You can manage. Though I'm curious how you plan to squeeze yourselves and Kyle's entire tribe into that tiny space. I let the silence stretch, then added, but then again, that's no longer my problem. It's yours, now. Kyle opened his mouth like he wanted to speak, to scream, but no sound came out. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't the one carrying their chaos. Then I turned around and walked out of the house, with the only person who ever truly treated me like family. Esther walked beside me, carrying a single bag, her eyes red but focused. She didn't look back, and neither did I. As the front door shut behind us, I could hear Kyle's voice rising inside. Please, just let me and the kids stay with you guys, just for a while. His voice cracked with panic, but I didn't stop walking. I didn't care to hear their answer. Whatever they decided was no longer my concern. For once, I chose myself, and the sister who never turned her back on me. And that was enough. It's been 2 months now. Esther lives with me, and life has finally started to feel quiet, peaceful. As for the old house, my parents moved out. It's on the market now, and I don't plan on setting foot in it again. Esther and I agreed. The bad memories inside those walls were far louder than the good ones. When it comes to the rest of the family, I've cut all ties, blocked their numbers, muted every platform. They made their choices, and now they can live with them. Still, my conscience wouldn't let me sleep completely at night. So, once I confirmed that Kyle and his circus had moved on, I started sending small, anonymous donations to my mom's account every 2 months, just enough to cover essentials, nothing more. I did it for her, not them.
If you loved this twist, just wait. There's more where that came from. Watch the next revenge story now and see karma strike again. Don't forget to like and subscribe to keep the stories coming.